Hey guys, so we have a teaser here for our first big release for this 100 million users / Saiyan Saga celebration. This is pretty straightforward, at least to me. We've gotten some hints in the past that have been pretty wild. This one does not seem that wild to me, so it is a 5-second long animation here. So before we click on this animation, there are, 6 circles here. We have an orange circle, a white circle, like a light green circle, a darker green circle, another orange circle, and then a purple circle. So let's go ahead and play this and we'll see what happens. So the first thing that happens is the orange circle kind of just fizzles away. Then the white circle sort of just like dissipates. We have the light green circle like falling downwards and disappearing. Then we have the dark green circle falling downwards and disappearing. And then we have this the purple circle at the end kind of just like fading away, but it's still there at the end. It doesn't leave. And then I guess can we play this or no? That's it. And then of course the orange circle is still there. So in case you guys have not figured it out as to what this is, I mean, it's obviously part of the Saiyan Saga here. This is clearly a reference to the status of the Z fighters that fought against Nappa in their showdown with him in the Saiyan Saga. All right, so we can just quickly go through the status here. So if we go back to the beginning, this is not going to load now. Okay, here we go. All right, so clearly this first orange circle is referring to Yamcha, who dies versus the Cybermen. He gets blown up by the Cybermen. Obviously, you know what's funny about this is clearly the most famous part of the Nappa. Well, it's not even really the Nappa fight, because he doesn't even technically even fight Nappa. He just dies. Like from the Cybermen portion all the way until when Goku and Vegeta start fighting. Like this Yamcha death is like the most famous scene in the Saiyan Saga or something. Like it's up there, the death scene with Yamcha. You know how many times that Yamcha death pose is referenced in like other anime and stuff? It's actually ridiculous. This is you could probably argue this is like the most famous scene in the entire Saiyan Saga besides the beam struggle scene. So this is Yamcha dying. I don't think it's gonna let us play this again, but and then we of course have the by the way that they sort of reference Yamcha dying is he like dissipates here. The orange circle like sort of dissipates. Then we have the white circle, which is of course Chaozu, who decides to self-destruct, tries to take Nappa out with the self-destruct, and ends up doing basically nothing. And then of course he dies because of that. And now this light green circle is referring to Tien, and it's because he's wearing green in his outfit. That's why it's like this. This is the exact same shade of green he's wearing, pretty much. Now, Tien technically does not get killed by Nappa. Tien dies from using too much energy in the Kikoho, the Tri-Beam, which actually I think does actually damage Nappa, but he kills himself while doing it. So he dies from that. Then, of course, we have the dark green circle, which is Piccolo, who's defending Gohan when Nappa does the, what do they call it? Like the DX bomber or whatever the hell it's called. The blast that Nappa throws at Gohan. This is obvious. Actually, you know what? When I say like the Yamcha death pose is the most iconic scene, it probably still is. The funny thing is the Yamcha death scene is probably more iconic than the Piccolo death scene, but it's obviously like a joke, right? The Piccolo death scene is not a joke. The Piccolo death scene is like probably my favorite part of the Saiyan Saga. This Piccolo death scene. Obviously Piccolo steps in front of the beam to take it and gets killed defending Gohan. And then the last two circles, we have Krillin and we have Gohan. Remember, Gohan does actually retaliate against Nappa when Piccolo dies. So the end of this animation has this circle sort of fading, but it's still there because what happens is Gohan, actually puts in some work against Nappa. Does one of the classic Kid Gohan rage sequences. But then Nappa is like right about to knock him out and kill him. And then Gohan gets saved by Nimbus because Goku arrives. So we have basically the last two circles remaining. We have Gohan and Krillin. So I'm not entirely sure how they're going to do this. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of the actual character this is referring to. Remember, typically when we get these hints, they are not for the main character of the banner. I am going to assume that this is going to be an LF banner. So This would presumably then be the 1% character, 1% sparking character on the banner alongside the LF. I guess it would be a Gohan and Krillin. I mean, we kind of semi-recently got a Gohan and Krillin, the EX Gohan and Krillin tag character from the same banner with Namek Goku. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But it's going to be something related to the Z Fighters versus Nappa, that entire thing. You know the funny thing about the Nappa fight? Like, looking at this animation, like, if you really think about it, Nappa probably has the most kills against the main cast than any other character, almost. Like, who has more kills on the main characters in Dragon Ball? Like, Kid Buu probably is the only one. But the thing with Kid Buu is Kid Buu just blows up the earth. We don't actually see him killing like Gohan or Goten or any of those characters. Nappa literally one by one pretty much kills these characters. Besides Yamcha. Yamcha gets killed by a Cyberman. Chaozu blows himself up. Tien gets it. Literally, Nappa punches Tien's arm off. Tien tries to block the punch, and Nappa just like literally punches his arm clean off, his hand off. And then Tien tries to, you know, Kikoho Nappa, and he just uses too much energy and dies. So Nappa, I'm going to attribute that to Nappa killing Tien. And then Piccolo, of course, gets just obliterated by Nappa's blast, and then Gohan would have died to Nappa, but he gets saved. So like Nappa, like secretly Nappa has like the most kills against the main characters besides like Kid Buu, and I guess like technically Zamasu, but they don't show that on screen. So I think what this is looking like to me is probably some kind of Gohan and Krillin character. Maybe some different references to the other Z fighters in there. But I could see that being what this character is going to be. Now, in terms of the actual 1%, not 1%, the actual LF character itself, probably, I would say we have three options here. There's like three options, and I don't know if I would even say there's a possibility of a fourth, because these are the only three options that make any kind of sense at all to me right now. I think I actually briefly talked about these options when the Saiyan Saga celebration was initially announced, because honestly, again, this is not a very big saga. There are only like 2.5 fights that happen here. We have Goku and Piccolo versus Raditz. We have the Z Fighters versus Nappa, and then that turns into Goku versus Nappa, which I'll kind of count as like half a fight. And then of course we have Goku versus Vegeta. So in terms of the three options, I would say number one, we have Goku and Piccolo as a tag character. Now that we know that this hint is referring to, I guess, characters from the Nappa and Vegeta portion of the Saiyan Saga, I would say it's probably not as likely that we're going to get that now, but at some point we're for sure going to get that. We kind of already have representation for that moment, the Piccolo special beam cannon in the game, right? The OG yellow LF Piccolo, that is his LF, but I think we are certainly due for an updated version of that character, because we now have tag characters that exist in the game, and a tag Goku and Vegeta, not Goku and Vegeta, tag Goku and Piccolo would be much more, it would be much more representative of how the fight actually went. So that's the first one. The second option, I think, is probably the most likely based off of this hint that we got, and that is going to be some kind of Nappa and Vegeta together. Now, what I think they could do here is something very similar to what they did with Pikkon and Super Gogeta, which is they could start the character out with Nappa, and then he could revive into a Vegeta. And that could be a way that we could actually get representation in Legends for the scene where Vegeta kills Nappa, because otherwise we're never going to see that in the game. Right? That's the only way we can see that, unless they specifically give a Saiyan Saga Vegeta that same attack that he does against Nappa. But with a character like this, where you can have a revival Vegeta into Nappa, we can actually have Vegeta killing Nappa specifically, and we can get that same animation of like Nappa imploding or whatever that like weird looking animation is that when Nappa gets killed by Vegeta. I think that would be kind of cool to get in the game, and we definitely have precedent for that being a thing that they could do because of Pikkon and Gogeta, right? A character that revives into a separate character completely. That to me would honestly probably be the biggest win that they could do here for the Saiyan Saga. I think I actually made a tweet about this like a week ago or so. Right now we have three big characters that are controlling the game. We have Ultra Golden Frieza, we have Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, then we have Super 17. Those are the three big, meta defining characters that we have right now. I would say it's them three, you can kind of throw UI in that same discussion, but I think he's a tier under those 3 characters. And then like everything else is kind of just like not even really that close to those 4 units. So as it stands right now, Golden Frieza gets hard. Well, I don't even know if I want to say hard countered by UI Goku, but he gets torn up by UI Goku. Ultra Super Saiyan 2 Gohan gets torn up by Golden Frieza. Super 17 doesn't really get torn up by many characters. He gets walled by GT Goku, but I don't really know if I would call that him being countered by a character. Goku and Bardock can be annoying for Super 17, but Goku and Bardock are not at the level where they can really shut him down completely, much like Gohan gets shut down by Frieza, and Frieza can potentially get shut down by UI Goku. So I think it would make a lot of sense if they're going to go down the path of giving us some sort of revival Nappa into Vegeta character, or if they're not going to do a revival, maybe just make it a tag Vegeta and Nappa character. If they made them blue, I think that really could have major implications on the meta, not just like a powerful opponent, blue, like super top tier, like top 4 minimum character that can really put a lot of pressure on Super 17, especially with Super 17 now leaving the boost system, the featured boost tier in PvP. I think that could really change PvP a lot, because right now what people do is they just either form a team that's based off of Frieza or Gohan or Super 17 or some mixture of all 3. Very, very common to run into a team where people just throw all 3 of those characters together on the same lineup. It's going to be Gohan and powerful opponent with Frieza and Super 17. If you introduce a 4th character into the mix, that can finally give us some sort of way to shut this character down, which I think is probably time for. I'm a big advocate of characters being super mega top tier and uncountered for about 2.5 to 3 months after they come out. Super 17 came out at the end of January, so we are now approaching that territory where I would be okay with us getting a targeted counter for Super 17. So if they want to make like a super mega top tier blue Vegeta and Nappa character that could work well with like Golden Frieza, or even could work well with Gohan, you know, potentially, we'll see. Could work well with UI Goku, of course, because they'd both be Saiyans. You'd have yellow and blue synergy. That could work well against Super 17. I think the game would change a lot. So that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most. Not just a Vegeta and Nappa character specifically, but if they made them blue as well. I would say blue is probably the weakest color in the game right now, on top of that as well. Yellow probably in that discussion of being sort of weak as well, but I would say blue is worse. UI Goku is very powerful. Baby is very good. He just gets, like, you know what Baby would, where is he on here? Baby, here he is. Baby would get, I would say, I don't know if I'd call him like a complete resurgence for him, because he's kind of always lived in the shadow of Super 17. But if we get like a super dedicated counter, or at least a character that is super tough for this character to deal with, Super 17 to deal with, that could give a lot of extra value to Super Baby 2, I think is a very good unit. So I think that would end up changing the game the most. That's what I'm probably looking forward to them doing here for this release. And then the third option is just some kind of Goku from the Vegeta fight. I would probably just say like a Kaioken Goku that potentially has an LF that includes the one-handed Spirit Bomb that Krillin technically throws, and then Gohan like sort of pushes back into Vegeta. It could be like, what if they gave him like sort of like not a comeback mechanic? It would be more like LF Purple Cell. When he dies, he does the AoE explosion. What if they gave like an LF Goku, an LF that's tied to him dying, where he like entrusts Krillin and Gohan with the Spirit Bomb, and then if it kills the opponent and you win the fight via that mechanic, you get the LF. I mean, that'd be a little bit hard to get, I think, but they could do some cool stuff with that, because technically we don't have representation for that Spirit Bomb in the game. Remember when they first revealed the Saiyan Saga campaign and they went through all the different scenes in the game, or all the different scenes that exist in the game from the Saiyan Saga? And the last thing they showed, I believe it was it Yajirobe slicing off Vegeta's tail? I think that maybe was the last thing they showed, or it was something like that. And the reason why they couldn't really go further than that is because we don't have the Spirit Bomb. Because Yajirobe cuts off Great Ape Vegeta's tail, Vegeta reverts to being normal, you know, his normal form outside of the Great Ape. And at that point, that's when Goku starts to accumulate the energy for the Spirit Bomb. Doesn't have enough energy to actually throw the Spirit Bomb at Vegeta, so he entrusts it to Krillin. Then Krillin throws it, he misses, and then Gohan knocks it into Vegeta. So that could be something we get. I think there's a very, very high chance that if we do not see like a Kaioken Goku or a Goku that does the Spirit Bomb now, I think that's something that we could definitely see either as an Ultra at the end of the month, or potentially if they want to do a Mega Rising at the end of the month, they can make that part of that character as well. But for me, if I'm going to name one LF character that I would like to see the most, it would be some kind of Vegeta and Nappa, whether it's going to be a revival or just a simple tag character. I'd be okay with either one because I think that has the potential to affect the game the most. But in terms of this, 1% sparking, which this most likely is, it looks to me like it would be some kind of Gohan and Krillin, the two circles that are left at the end of this. And they can, I guess, potentially find ways to weave in other Z fighters in the unit somehow if they want to. But let me know what you guys think. This is going to be the first big reveal the first big release for the Saiyan Saga campaign. This character will be revealed during the reveal and stuff, which is coming out on the 16th, the typical time, I think, the day before, or I guess depending on what your time zone is. And then we will have the banner drop during reset on the 17th on Wednesday for me. So let me know what you guys think. Who do you guys think the LF's going to be? What do you think this is a reference to? Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.